我们现在有不错的在线人数了，可以开始了。我们的观众今天有来自中国的，也有来自美国的，所以今天现场的翻译将会以字幕的形式在屏幕下方出现。我们今天的研讨会为了方便后期还会放到网上。我们现在有不错的在线人数了，可以正式开始了。我们今天的观众有来自中国的，也有来自美国的，所以今天的现场翻译将会以字幕的形式出现在屏幕下方。我们今天的研讨会后期为了方便还会放到网上。今天的研讨会，我们将在2个小时的时间内，有来自美国的8位嘉宾和美国驻华大使馆、农业部领导就美国水稻的不同方面分别为大家做介绍。观众可以在屏幕下方 Q&A 问答对话框提问，中英文都可以。我会在演讲结束之后的问答环节，让嘉宾现场回答您的问题。如果现场时间不够，您还可以在会议结束后联系我们。会议正式开始。中国的朋友们上午好，美国的朋友们晚上好。首先，我代表协会和在座的嘉宾，欢迎大家参加今天的线上推广活动，也感谢协会员工出色的工作，在短时间内呈现出此次云推广的形式。我叫王倩 Grace， 来自中国，任美国水稻协会东半球主任，现在在美国德克萨斯州休斯顿市协会办公室给大家介绍美国水稻。很可惜的是，今年我们本来要访问中国，但是由于疫情的原因，希望疫情马上过去，我们再次访问中国，继续开展我们的推广活动。虽然我们面临前所未有的全球疫情考验，在此希望大家和家人健康平安。水稻和百姓的生活息息相关，在亚洲等一些国家作为主食，是人类赖以生存的食物。疫情期间，由于恐惧囤积，出现了大量的抢购现象，引起了需求急速增长。又由于各国保护主义和地理贸易上的封锁，世界水稻价格在今年初出现了近7年的最高值。美国水稻也经历了前所未有的考验，主要体现在物流运输上，但是美国水稻的生产供应是充足的。也许大家都知道，去年美国水稻的种植面积和产量较低，但是今年的种植命菌平均提高了17%。提高主要来自于长粒米，中短粒米每年是不变的。预计接下来的几个月完成收割，会有大量的水稻进入国际市场。近期美国水稻市场已经基本恢复了正常，至少在我居住的地区附近是这样的。供应充足，也是由于疫情，人们才意识到了民生才是最重要的，也就是我们参会的各位所从事的食品生产加工和销售业。众所周知，中国是世界上水稻最大的生产国和消费国，有巨大的水稻市场，也给全世界水稻生产国带来潜在的机会。6月份，中国进口大米25万吨，主要是从东盟国家进口的长粒精米。美国是农业大国，虽然水稻面积低，但是每年有1半的产量是出口到世界各地的。所以今天的主题不只是向中国客户介绍美国水稻和美国大米供应商合作共赢， 也是共享信息、建立对话，来引导美国水稻如何针对中国的市场做出正确的反应，能够打开买家卖家的沟通渠道，加深两个国家之间、两个行业之间的对话和理解。希望以后大家多多参与我们的活动，加深交流和友谊。下面这张照片是我们协会去年访问合肥国际粮油展时的照片，所到之处受到了中国人的热情接待。今天有幸照片中的马塞拉副会长，还有汤米先生，还有斯图尔特先生，还会在线和大家再次见面。下面由我来简单介绍一下我们协会。我们协会全称美国水稻生产者协会，简称美国稻协或者 USRPA。我们协会成立于1997年，办公室位于休斯顿地区，是联邦认证的非营利、非政府行业协会。我们协会代表美国6大产区的水稻生产者。我们协会的工作主要是促进美国水稻的生产、研究、教育、贸易以及国际合作，提高美国水稻的国际综合竞争力。我们的会员包括米厂、稻农、粮机业、贸易商、制种业、加工业，还有农业科技业、仓储业、物流业等等。我们协会而且还主办每年一次西半球最大的水稻技术与市场大会，每年有来自40个国家超过400位水稻业的精英参加。因为我的同事汤米，接下来会更详细的谈到美国水稻的各个产区和品种，所以我这里只简单介绍一下。地图从左到右，咱们可以看到加州北部萨克拉门托以北的高纬度山区，就是这个棕色的地方，种植着1年1季的中粒稻，还有少量的短粒米。然后到墨西哥湾沿岸，就是这块地方。还有密西西比河沿岸的三角地区这块地方，种植着1年2季的长粒稻，还有一种南方生产的中粒稻。下面我们来看一下美国水稻的面积、公顷产量，还有大米总产量。这是最新的美国农业部的数据显示，美国水稻种植面积是116万公顷，每公顷的产量是8.5吨左右，总产量1年大约700万吨上下。美国之所以每公顷能产出这么多的高产量，是因为我们有机械化的先进的种植技术，还有 RiceTec 种子公司高级制种技术，为农民提供了高产量的杂交稻种子。大米在美国，不像小麦、土豆、玉米种植面积广大。美国从产量上不可能代替东南亚对中国的水稻出口，1年的产量只有700万吨左右，自用一半，剩下的一半要满足其他国家的需求。但是只要市场有需求，未来是什么样的，取决于市场对美国水稻的反馈。只要客人喜欢，农民是可以短时间内调整，提高一定的投入和产量。下面我们来看一下美国水稻的种类及特点。美国水稻主要分为长粒稻还有中短粒稻。长粒稻主要出口到墨西哥还有中美中洲国家，主要以稻谷的形式。中短粒稻比较知名的，比如加州玫瑰，还有加州月光。这些中短粒米主要出口到日本、韩国、台湾还有中东等地区。除此之外，美国水稻还有一些特殊种类，比如有机米之类。美国水稻的特点，用简单的一句话概括就是营养、安全、可靠。在营养方面，美国市场上的大米都是强化的。除了营养、安全、可靠呢，美国大米还有其他的一些特点。比如说就是机械化程度高，种植技术应用到了大量的可持续种植技术。还有就是食品安全方面，我们使用的农药、化肥都是有很高的管理。还有就是美国大米的质量，美国大米都是严格按照美国大米标准 检查，还有分级。还有就是美国大米提供一些附加值，就根据客户的要求，美国大米可以提供单一品种，还有可溯源性。美国大米和中国大米，稍微有一点点区别，就是美国大米的淀粉含量稍微高一点，但是不是很多。美国大米最后的一个特点就是美国大力的投入研发，所以每年各个州的水稻研究所会推出新的品种。在美国生活的亚洲人，我们日常吃的就是美国产的水稻，和家乡的味道并无区别。日料餐馆用的也是美国产的寿司米，所以根据美国水稻的价位和特点是有特定的消费市场的。因为今天的时间有限，所以今天只能介绍美国水稻的简单介绍这些特点。如果您感兴趣的话，今后每一个特点都可以专门成立一个研讨会详细讨论。最后简单介绍一下美国大米协定。大米准入是2018年底开始正式进入中国市场。目前在海关注册的名单上有32家美国米厂。大米协定的条款其中包括征询的要求呀，还有包装的要求等等。大米贸易是配额贸易，就是购买大米需要申请配额。还有这个就是今年新出的中国海关的要求，进口商可以申请25%的关税豁免。最后我将简单介绍一下今天的会议议程。第一位欢迎致辞的是马塞拉副会长，他在过去的12年负责协会的运行，带领协会的国际项目，以及负责协会每年举办的西半球最大的国际水稻技术和市场大会，代表协会足迹遍及拉丁美洲、欧洲和中国等。第二位演讲的是凯撒，来自全美重要的大米加工厂 Riviana， 他是 Riviana 的销售总监。Riviana 还是全美第2大意大利面供应商，有100年以上的历史。而且 Riviana 在大米准入的名单上。他将介绍 Riviana 公司和产品情况。Riviana 公司的产品非常齐全，他们还生产一种方便米饭，放微波炉里几分钟就好，非常适合现代上班族快速的生活节奏。接下来是来自美国农业处的领导勒桑达女士为大家欢迎致辞。下一位发言者是汤米，汤米是德州水稻理事会的主席，他将为大家介绍美国水稻的生产情况。下一位演讲者是来自 RiceTec 公司的销售经理 Leandro， 他将介绍 RiceTec 公司和他们生产的种子。之后是怀特先生，协会主席，将给大家介绍美国水稻最新的收成和产量情况。最后一位嘉宾是斯图尔特，他来自加州，精通加州中粒米市场，他将为大家介绍中粒米市场的最新情况。在演讲之后，我们最后一部分是问答环节，我们将回答观众提出的问题。下面我们来收看一段视频，是驻华大使布莱斯特先生对中国朋友的致辞。
Hello, this is Ambassador Branstad. On behalf of my team here at the United States Embassy, our consulates, and the U.S. rice industry, I'd like to extend my sincere greetings to all of our prospective U.S. rice partners here in China. The beginning of this new year will be hard to forget. There has been less hustle and bustle and more concern about the well-being of our friends, colleagues, and family. As we move forward, I want you to know that the U.S. rice industry and the U.S. Embassy look forward to strengthening the relationships we have with you and to build new ones as we successfully introduce U.S. rice to Chinese consumers. You can count on us as partners as we address current challenges, implement the Phase 1 agreement, and support the tariff exclusion process here in China. Since my days as governor of Iowa, when we navigated the farm crisis, I've had a sign on my desk that says, "Tough times never last, but tough people do." That statement applies more today than ever. Your partnership and well-being are important to us as we seek to provide safe, nutritious rice from the United States to consumers across China. The U.S. rice industry and I look forward to working with you in the future. Together, we will get through these difficult times. Thank you.
好，谢谢大家。下面我们将由 Marcela， 我们协会的副会长，为大家欢迎致辞。
Thank you, Grace. Good morning to our friends in China, and good evening to those in the U.S. On behalf of the U.S. Rice Producers Association, I would like to welcome you to our first U.S. Rice virtual seminar. We want this to be the first of many seminars until we are able to host you in person or visit you in China. I was able to visit your beautiful country this past October, where I met many of you attending the seminar. I want to thank you again for being such gracious hosts, and hopefully soon we will be able to meet in person again. We believe that the information presented today will be beneficial to all of you. We would like to hear your feedback and comments to continue to provide information that is of interest to you. To our speakers, I want to express our gratitude in accepting our invitation to participate in this event. We know that you have spent a significant amount of time preparing to make this event successful. Again, if you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to contact me. My email is listed on the screen. I won't take any more of your time as we have a full agenda with great speakers and we only have 2 hours to get through. So again, thank you very much, and I will turn it back to our host, Grace Wang. Grace, I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
Next, we're going to have Cesar from Riviana Foods to present his company and the products. 下面我们欢迎凯撒先生来自 Riviana 米厂，给大家介绍公司和产品情况。Cesar, can you please share your screen and start presentation?
Can you, I have the video, wait, show presentation here. Okay, and share screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
We'll do I'll talk and then you'll translate to Chinese as we discuss, if that is okay with you. First, thank you. Good morning to all of our attendees and friends in China, and also good evening to my colleagues joining this call from the United States. I want first to apologize because I might have to step out of this conference because I've not been feeling too well these last 2 days, so I might have to step in a little earlier. Do you want to translate?
凯撒刚才说感谢大家参加今天的推广活动，因为他今天身体有一些不舒服，所以他将快速的演讲。
I'm going to introduce very briefly our company, Riviana, so that you can have a bit of understanding of who we are and what we do. And then I'll show some of our products. Riviana, it's a US company, which is the subsidiary of a Spanish food conglomerate called Ebro Foods. Ebro Foods, it's the European Western Hemisphere leader in the rice sector and second marketing company in the pasta sector in Europe and the United States.
刚才凯撒说 Riviana 是一家来自西班牙的公司，他们的稻米部门是全球的领先者，也是全球第2大面食生产商。
We are present in more than 38 countries. We have 20 subsidiaries amongst Europe, America, Asia, and Africa. We are the #1 company in the Spanish food sector in terms of turnover and profit.
凯撒说他们的业务遍及38个国家和地区，在欧洲、美洲、亚洲和非洲设有20多家子公司。他们的营业额、利润、市值还有国际知名度方面是西班牙食品部门的第1大集团。
We are a very brand-focused company. We have 65 brands that are local leaders in their category, mostly of rice and pasta, and also the products with value added derived from these basic core rice and pasta strengths.
他说他们公司有超过65个主打品牌，主要是大米，还有就是意大利面。他们专门从事高增值产品和餐饮解决方案的生产和营销。
We use all the technologies available of dry rice, fresh, pre-cooked, frozen, microwavable, and other forms of rice and pasta products.
他说他们的产品多样化，以米饭和面食为核心业务。他们有不同的技术开发，还有产品，包括一些微波炉现煮的产品，还有一些速冻的产品。
The revenue of our company is approximately 3 billion euros, 2.53 billion euros per year. And we invest heavily, around $85–100 million just in marketing to promote our brands every year.
他说他们的总收入一年大概是26亿美元。然后他们大规模的投入到广告，每年大概是8500万美元投入到广告。
Now I want to show some of the products, just for your reference, some of the products we produce and we work with. The first one is the wild rice, which is not exactly a rice, it's more of an aquatic grass. We've received a lot of interest from Chinese consumers in wild rice. This is considered the caviar of grains. And we mainly grow it in the northern region of the United States between the border of US and Canada.
他介绍其中他们的产品之一叫野米，其实野米并不是米，它是一种植物。这种植物在北美原生，一般长于湖泊或者浅水沼泽之地。野米的营养价值非常高，是现在很受欢迎的食品。
We also have market brand leaders. For instance, this is our Mahatma rice brand. All our rice is grown and processed in the United States, except some aromatic rice like jasmine from Thailand and basmati, which comes from India or Pakistan.
他说他们有茉莉香米，还有巴斯马蒂。他们的除了茉莉，有一些茉莉香米是在，还有巴斯马蒂是在其他国家外，其他都是在美国种植和加工。
We offer the consumer the best quality of rice crops from the United States and aromatic rice from across the world. We also offer a large variety of mixes, seasoned rice, and available in all formats that could be interesting for retail.
他说他们还为消费者提供优质的美国大米，还有全球香米，还有一些混合了调味过的大米。
We also offered some of our convenient rice, which is ready to eat in 5 or 10 minutes just by adding boiling water.
这些就是我说的一些速食米，就是只需要加入水，然后就可以煮出来现成的米饭。
We also work with rice, which is ready to serve after just cooking it for 60 seconds in the microwave. Very convenient and also very well valued amongst the American consumers.
这就是我说的为适应现代人的高速的生活节奏推出的一种速食米，像方便面一样，只需要60秒即可食用。
We also offer a wide variety of rice and pasta products within our premium brand called Rice Select. These are recognized worldwide for their outstanding taste, texture, cooking qualities, and there are many varieties, specialty varieties like Jasmati, Kasmati that are grown in the United States and have been growing in consumption and in market appreciation these recent years.
他说这是他们主要的产品线，叫 Rice Select， 有各种各样的大米品种。
I know this is mainly a rice conference, but I'd like just to introduce also very quickly our pasta products so that you can have a very quick look at what we also produce in this category.
他说虽然今天的主题是大米，但是他还是想简单的介绍一下他们的主要产品意大利面。
Our number one pasta brand, it's Ronzoni. It's made with the best quality semolina and durum wheat flour, and it's all made, or most of it made in the United States.
他说这是他们的主要意大利面产品，叫 Ronzoni。它是质量一流的，然后用最优质的粗粒小麦还有杜兰小麦粉生产。
We also have value-added pastas like the Ronzoni Smart Taste, which has added calcium, fiber, vitamin D.
他说这些产品是他们的强化类产品，就是添加了维生素还有矿物质的意大利面。
Whole grain pasta, 100% natural, made with whole wheat.
他说这是他们的全麦类的意大利面。
Vegetable pasta.
还有他们的蔬菜类意大利面，就是用蔬菜制作的意大利面。
We have also developed gluten-free pasta, which is made out of white rice, brown rice, corn, quinoa, and that results in a very great texture pasta that almost resembles what a normal wheat pasta would be like.
他们还有些特殊产品，就是无麸质的，比如用白米啊、糙米啊，还有玉米和藜麦制作的意大利面。
Consumption of gluten-free products have grown in recent years in the United States, and we've made the best effort we can in supplying a good quality gluten-free pasta.
他说这种无麸质的产品在美国近年特别受欢迎，越来越受欢迎。
We also have 150 calories pasta, which is a reduced calorie pasta. It has 25% less calories than regular pasta.
他说他们公司还有这种低热量的意大利面，只有150卡路里的意大利面。
We also have some Ronzoni Super Greens, which is very special vegetable pasta with spinach, zucchini, broccoli, parsley, and kale, following the latest trends in the food industry.
他说他们还有很多混合的蔬菜的意大利面，有菠菜、西葫芦、西兰花、欧芹，还有芥蓝。
Organic pasta.
他们的 organic 就是有机的，还有一种就是有机的意大利面。
And also some new pasta assortments that we're launching in the market just recently, like the ones you see here: thick and hearty pasta for taking in sauce, home-style fettuccine made with egg, and Italian pasta brand like Garofalo.
这些是他们推出的一些产品。 就是一些高质量的。
So I just wanted to quickly introduce our products and mention that in our last visits to China, we received a lot of interest from potential consumers that were interested in having the possibility to bring US-made food items into Chinese markets, leveraging on the good image that the food industry in the United States has amongst some of the Chinese consumers.
他说他们公司上次去中国的时候，受到了中国消费者的欢迎，得到了中国消费者就是很多的兴趣。
Our factory of rice has been approved and certified for export to China, so we're perfectly able to export to China with the corresponding licenses.
他说他们米厂是在32家大米注册名单上的。
I understand the access of rice and US pasta to China has been challenging, but we're hopeful that this market will soon open and there will be a very interesting trade between both Chinese and US companies, and also we will be able to provide both consumers with the best of our products.
他说期待着收到来自中国客户的订单，就是希望中美大米贸易马上正式的开始。
So I remain at your disposal and very excited for this opportunity to cooperate with all of our Chinese colleagues.
他说他期待着更多的机会和中国人打交道，和中国的商人做生意。
And that is all. Thank you very much for attending this presentation.
谢谢大家参加此次会议。这是他的全部演讲。感谢来自 Riviana 的凯撒先生为大家的精彩演讲。下面我们将请来自北京大使馆的老商的女士为大家致欢迎词。Next, I would like to give a quick shout out to Ms. Lashanda and U.S. Embassy officers and staff in China to thank for their support for our event. Today, she has a few words to share with us. Let's welcome Lashanda.
Hi, thank you, Grace. Good morning, good evening, everyone. I'm going to try to get to my phone to stay up here. Half of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Foreign Agricultural Service at the U.S. Embassy, and as the Director of the Agricultural Trade Office in Beijing, I would like to welcome you and thank you for your participation in this U.S. Rice Virtual Trade Technical Seminar. Today, as we convene for this event, I am honored to join you in making history, actually, with this virtual seminar to promote U.S. agricultural exports to China, specifically U.S. rice. As the daughter of a history professor, I think it's important that we take just a moment to reflect on the events and circumstances that have led to this occasion. As you may recall, in January of this year, the United States and China signed the U.S.-China Economic Agreement, as also referred to as the Phase 1 trade deal. As part of this agreement, China took steps to open its market to a wider range of agricultural products. I'm sorry, Grace, were you planning to translate, or you just want me to continue?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
Continue. I'll translate at last.
Okay.
We're having some technical difficulties. Sorry about that. Can you continue your presentation? I'll translate at the end.
Okay, thank you. And like you, I am excited by the many opportunities awaiting U.S. companies to sell their high-quality food products to the ever-growing number of Chinese households. While I am on the topic of the Phase 1 trade deal, let me say that China continues to make progress towards its commitment to increase purchases of U.S. agricultural products. U.S. agricultural products. Regardless of the concerns we are facing in other parts of our relationship, both China and the United States remain positively engaged in the trade agreement. Actually, it is a bright spot in our bilateral relationship. Just shortly after the Phase 1 deal was signed, the world turned its focus on combating the global COVID-19 pandemic. COVID-19 has forced all of us to adapt and alter the way we live and do business, including turning to virtual platforms to host meetings and other events. Nevertheless, I am pleased that we have the chance to gather virtually today. Now, something about why we are here. Fueled by our hardworking farmers and cutting-edge technology, U.S. rice leads the world in quality. Over the past 10 years, the United States and China have been working closely to bring U.S. rice into China. I hope to see U.S. rice on my table here in Beijing in the very near future. In closing, I encourage you to take full advantage of this unique space to forge lasting commercial relationships. I wish you good luck, and I thank you again for your participation, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Lashonda. 谢谢来自北京大使馆的Lashonda为大家做的欢迎致辞。下面我们将由汤米先生为大家介绍美国水稻的种植情况。Let's welcome Tommy Turner, Chairman of Texas Rice Council. He's going to give us a presentation on U.S. rice production. Hi, Tommy. Can you start your presentation? Unmute, Dwight. Can you hear me?
Okay. Good morning and good evening. I am Tommy Turner, President of the Texas Rice Council and board member of the USRice Producers Association. I will inform you on rice production in the United States. As you can see, there are 3 rice growing areas. The Sacramento Valley area of California typically plants around 500,000 acres annually. And just for reference, it takes 2.471 acres to make a hectare. This is primarily medium grain rice of Calrose lineage. Another area is the southern Mississippi River Delta region, or the Mid-South. This area includes eastern Arkansas, southeast Missouri, northeast Louisiana, and western Mississippi. This area plants around 1,780,000 acres a year, making it the largest growing area. The third area is the Gulf Coast area, which includes southwest Louisiana and southeast Texas. This area plants 440,000 acres annually. Something unique to this area is the ability to raise a second crop or a ratoon crop. Once the main crop is harvested, new plants emerge from the roots, as you can see in the picture below. Farmers adept at raising second crop can increase production 25 to 50%. Let us go a little more in depth in production practices in each region. The clay soil type in California is very good at holding water. This leads to cultural practices of flying seed into flooded fields, as this airplane is doing in this photo. The typical planting interval is from late April through May. Farmers maintain a 3 to 6 inch flood until 30 days before harvest. The lower picture shows you rice coming up through the flooded water as it grows. Farmers maintain the 3 to 6 inch flood until 30 days before harvest. Then the water is drained off to allow the soil to firm up for harvest. Harvest runs from mid-September through October. This type of soil limits alternative crop choices, so most land is farmed continually in rice year after year. Farmers typically hope to make 1 to 2 tillage passes after harvest to work stubble into the field to aerate the soil. In the spring, 3 or 4 more tillage passes will be made, as well as a leveling pass and a seedbed preparation pass. Calrose medium grain is planted on 90% of the acres. There are multiple varieties with different grain qualities to meet the desired market, such as sushi grade or table rice. The remaining acres are planted to short grain with a very small amount of long grain rice. A farmer plans to make 100 dry hundredweights per acre. The state average is around 86 dry hundredweights. California has additional regulations on pesticide use, which increases cost on these inputs 2 to 3 times what they cost in other regions. Next, we will discuss the southern Mississippi Delta growing region. Rice is grown in the eastern third of Arkansas. Typically, 1.3 million acres will be planted annually. Weather and markets can make large adjustments to this number. Planting starts around late March in the southern part and April 10th in the northern part of the state. Farmers hope to finish planting by the middle of May, but will plant into June if necessary. Harvest starts in early August in the south and runs through October in the north. The top 3 long grain varieties are RiceTec XP753 and Gemini CL214 and Diamond. These comprise about 50% of the acres. Medium grain is typically planted on around 15% of the acres, with Jupiter being the main variety planted. Farmers are committed to precision leveling land, as you see in this picture, to enhance drainage. This allows for quicker entry into the fields for tillage work, planting, and harvest. This also allows for more efficient use of water. Farmers also use multiple inlet systems, tail race water recovery systems, alternate wetting and drying methods, and furrow irrigation or row rice to save water and reduce cost. Row rice is planting with a grain drill or rows with spacing of 30 to 78 inches. This saves time since levees are not needed to hold water. Also, this allows flexibility to plant other crops and to make for easier transition between crops. Weather permitting, on silt loam soils, farmers prefer fall tillage with final preparation passes in the spring. Fall tillage and stale seedbed planting on the heavier gumbo soil is a higher priority due to the greater retention of water in this soil type. Southeast Missouri, or the boot heel, typically plants around 200,000 acres per year. Variety selection is evenly divided between hybrids and conventionals. Popular varieties are RiceTec XP753 and Gemini CL214 and Diamond. Horizon Ag CLL15 is a new variety gaining popularity. The top picture shows young rice emerging in the fields. Less than 5% is planted to medium grain. Farmers plan to make around 200 bushels. There are about 44 pounds to the bushel of dry hundredweights. The state average is more in the 165 bushel range. The planting window is from the 1st of April through mid-June. Optimal is the first half of April. Harvest runs from the 1st of September through mid-November. Weather permitting, farmers prefer fall tillage after harvest, followed by stale seedbed planting. Spring tillage is only done as necessary. 80% is planted flat and 20% as row rice. Precision leveling is a high priority, as well as plans to maximize water usage. Northeast Louisiana plants around 150,000 acres annually. The planting window runs from the 1st of April through mid-May. Harvest will start in late August and runs through October. This part of Louisiana raises one crop. RiceTec CL-XL745 is one of the top varieties grown. Average yields are in the 165 bushel range, with some fields making 200 bushels and more. As with the other areas, there is a major commitment to land leveling and water management. Row rice is rapidly growing in use as a cultural practice. Fall tillage and stale seedbed planting is still a mainstay in field preparation. Western Mississippi is home to around 130,000 acres of rice annually. It is located mostly in the Mississippi Yazoo River Delta region. Planting runs from April 1st through mid-June. Some farmers start as early as March 20th. Farmers hope to plant most of their rice in the first half of April. The harvest interval is from the middle of August through September. Planting is about 60% hybrids and 40% conventionals. RiceTec XP753 and Gemini CL214 are the leading hybrids, and Horizon Ag CL153 and Rex the leading conventionals. The heavy gumbo soil is not well suited to work with excessive moisture. They hope the weather allows for fall tillage. The only tractor they want to see in the fields in the spring is one with a planter on it. The third growing region, the Gulf Coast region, consists of Southwest Louisiana and Southeast Texas. Southwest Louisiana is home to around 275,000 acres of rice annually. This is coastal prairie country, just above the coastal marshes. The planting window runs from the 1st of March through mid-April. RiceTec CL-XL745 and Horizon Ag CL111 and CL153 make up 90% of the planted acres. These varieties typically have a very clear bean. Harvest starts around July 5th and winds down around the 1st of September. About 60% of the acres will grow a ratoon crop, as you see in the bottom picture on this page. Average yields are 8,000 pounds on the main crop and 2,500 pounds on the ratoon crop. Crawfish farming is an important economic enterprise associated with rice farming in this area. Another important factor to economic sustainability for Southwest Louisiana and Southeast Texas is the commitment to identity preserved rice by variety and quality in storage bins. This allows the industry to better provide customers with the quality of rice they desire. Southeast Texas typically plants 165,000 acres of rice annually. This year, the acres are about 75% hybrids and 25% conventionals. Top hybrid varieties are RiceTec XP753 and CL-XL745. Top conventionals are Horizon Ag CL153 and Presidio. 20 to 25% of the acres are organic acres, and 10 to 15% of the acres are seed rice. Planting starts around March 1st, and most is planted by mid-April. Harvest runs from mid-July through August. About 60% of the commercial rice acres will be ratoon cropped. Farmers project to make 8,000 to 9,000 pounds dry on the first crop and 2,000 to 3,000 pounds dry on the second crop. Surface water, long a mainstay as a source of irrigation water in Texas, is becoming very expensive as urban demand drives up the cost. One way farmers have addressed this is with precision leveling. This can reduce water usage from 2.25 acre-feet of water per acre for first crop down to 1.5 acre-feet. This reduction applies to the ratoon crop as well. I would like to close with this thought. The United States Department of Agriculture reference price for rice is $14 per hundredweight for long grain rice. Rice farmers have utilized technology in many areas to increase efficiency and effectiveness while also reducing cost. We have discussed land leveling and best practice uses for water. As a reliable skilled workforce has dwindled for agriculture as labor moves to the urban areas, farmers have turned to mechanical labor. Equipment manufacturers are committed to provide the best equipment for farm operations, but there's a cost to hire the best talent to design and build equipment. State-of-the-art facilities and skilled labor are a must. Creating the supply line and the service sector are integral parts as well. My dad's first combine in the late 1960s cost $12,000. Today, a combine is $500,000 or more. Tractors and tillage equipment have seen the same rise in cost. The balance between efficiency and cost is a constant challenge for farmers. In America, we have very high standards to protect our air, water, land, and wildlife. Specifically concerning equipment engines, standards for clean air increases the cost. Our food safety regulations are very stringent as we strive to provide a safe, secure food supply. We have high occupational safety and worker protection standards. Also, fair labor standards are very important in America. These things come with a cost, one our society deems worth it to provide a better quality of life. All this regulation and oversight impacts the price of U.S. rice. And I would like to stress, no one cares more about the air, land, water, wildlife, and his neighbor than a farmer. Farmers make their living off the land. They know the importance of taking care of the environment, even when they feel the weight of these rising costs. They know they must leave the world in a better place so their children can continue their way of life, as in this picture here. It's in their blood. It's what they do. I hope you found this useful, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tommy, for your presentation. 感谢 Tommy 的精彩演讲。我们统一将在问答环节，回答大家的问题，请大家在Q&A 对话框中提出您的问题。下面我来简短的翻译一下刚才来自北京大使馆美国农业部农业处主任 LaShonda 女士的演讲。由于技术问题，我们错过了前半段的演讲。LaShonda 女士，她说她代表美国农业部、还有农业处、还有北京大使馆，欢迎大家来参加我们这次云推广活动。她说她6月份回到的中国，她非常惊喜的看到很多事情都自从她2月离开以后发生了很大的变化。他接着说，今天我们来参加这次会议，他说他很荣幸，来推进宣传美国农产品到中国，尤其是美国大米。他说，作为一个历史教授的女儿，他觉得很重要的来回顾一下历史事件。他说，在2020年1月份，中美达成了第1阶段的贸易协定。他说，根据这个协定，中国开始开放它的农业市场。他说，他很期待，即将带来的机会给美国公司，可以卖更多的农产品，满足中国人日益增长的需求。他说，他主要是谈论第1阶段贸易协定。他很高兴地看到中国持续的购买农产品和增加对美国农产品的购买。他说，不管现在发生的其他事情，中美关系在朝着好的方向发展。他非常相信未来会双边关系会更加光明。后面的翻译，我想我们的电脑已经在屏幕下方显示出来了，我就不继续翻译了。Okay. Next, we're going to OK， 下面我们由 RiceTec 种子公司的销售经理 Leandro 为大家介绍公司和产品。Next, we're gonna have Leandro from RiceTec to introduce his company and the product. Hi, Leandro, can you please start sharing your screen?
Okay. So first of all, I'd like to say that it's a pleasure to me to be as a presenter in this seminar tonight and today in China. So my goal today is to present RiceTec, is to talk a little bit about what we do, go over some of our accomplishments, as well just to share with you how we see the best way to increase the rice export worldwide. So first of all, I would like to say that RiceTec is a seed technology company. So this year we just turned 30 years. So it's a very important year for us. So it's 30 years that since the company was founded, And this is our 20 years that we are at the commercial level. So 2020, it's a very important year for us. So what we offer to the market is pretty much rice seed that deliver higher yields, deliver a very good disease package, deliver herbicide technology, deliver very good grain quality as well in a sustainable way. I'm gonna touch a little bit more on sustainability later on. Another important thing from RiceTec is that we believe that research is key. So we invest a lot of our turnover in research every single year to develop and come up with new products every single year. RiceTec is a company that's owned by the Prince of Liechtenstein Foundation. So it's a private company. So our mission is drive sustainable food production through rice seed technologies and makes a positive impact on farmers, employees, and stakeholders. So this is our mission. And the way that we see to deploy the mission is through our values. So among our values, we have, we innovate, we work together, and we care and respect. So those are the three main values that we have to deploy our mission. So RiceTec today has 3 different business units among the globe. So we do have one that's here in the US that also is our headquarters. We do have another business unit in Mercosur, and we do have another business unit in India. Also, in those 3 different regions, we do have research, production, and commercial teams. So, because we believe that the way that that we see the market should have a kind of a holistic view to best serve the market. So we know that the rice that's consumed in the South America is not the same that's consumed in the North America. So we have to have research, we have to have a people dedicated to that specific market. So also we do serve what we call export markets. So we serve some markets in Central America, in Europe, in Southeast Asia from those 3 business units, according to product, the best fit in that specific market that we serve. So one of the key things that that we have is the 3 different research centers. So so we are able to move a lot of genetics around. So we are also able to move a lot of information and knowledge among the 3 business units. So we can better serve in terms of different products for different geographies as well different cultures. As we are devoted to research, so also something that's very important for us is the partnership that we have in different parts of the world. So we do have some partners in China also that help us to better serve the market that we are looking for, as well receive some insights about that specific market. So we use all kinds of technologies to develop products. So since the traditional breeding program, as well as some modern techniques that are available in the market in the 3 different regions that we serve. To put a product in the market, it's a long way. So over here, I'm just showing the way that we do. So since the beginning, when we start testing a product up to the end of what we call our funnel, it's a long way. So over here is at least 5 years that the product should go on and on, better than the checks, better than the other hybrids that are in the market, other varieties. And before this product is being tested in stage 1, so since the breeding, we are talking here about 8 years up to the end of the funnel, and then have a commercial product in the market. So as I said at the beginning, so this is our 20 years that we are serving the market. So we are very glad that we are serving a large amount of customers around the globe, and we are having a positive impact on their operations through our products and technologies. One thing that's very important for us is the way that we deliver that positive impact. So our products, they yield more in the same hectare that is being produced. So the grower can use less land or can produce more in the same acre or in the same hectare that he's producing. Also, we do have data to support that our products, they are more efficient in terms of nitrogen usage. So we are talking about 15 to 20% better in terms of usage of nitrogen. Another important data that we have to support is that our products, they generate less greenhouse emissions. So the data is around 36% less greenhouse emission. And in the end, also, we do have some data that shows that our products can save up to 30% of water during the production. So this is very sustainable in terms of production here in the US. So we call these as smart rice. So this is the initiative that we have in terms of being more sustainable in the rice production. And our goal with smart rice is pretty much to have a product from farm to fork that can be traceable. It means we can know exactly where that seed was produced, where that grain was produced, as well where that grain was milled, and the things that that grain received to be produced, like nitrogen, like pesticides, and the way that that grain looks in the end. So this is our main goal with the Smart Rice initiative. So the way that we see that the best way that we can improve the commercialization of rice around the globe is that we need to look to the consumer, right? So our final customer. And then we start from the end to the beginning. So if we have this approach, we can know very well what that specific consumer is looking in that specific market. And then we can come back to the beginning where we start making the crosses, or when we start testing the products. And then we can look at the products that we have in the portfolio today or that are coming that best fit in that specific market. In doing that, with this approach, we can pretty much have a very good channeling or identity preserve product since the beginning up to the end of the channel. So today I talk about a little bit about RiceTec, our main accomplishments, our sustainable history, our business unit, as well the way that we see that we can best serve the market around the globe to identity preserve. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about RiceTec to you. And I look forward to interact with you in the question and answers as well after this webinar, talking about how RiceTec can help you to import rice from US. Thank you.
Thank you, Leandro, for your presentation. Thank you, Leandro, for your presentation. 谢谢来自 RiceTec 的演讲。下面我们请协会会长怀特先生给大家介绍最新的美国水稻收成。
Welcome. Hello to our friends in China. We appreciate the opportunity to update you about U.S. rice production, especially our current harvest that is underway at this very moment. To say the very least, 2020 is an unforgettable year, obviously because of the coronavirus outbreak and its impact around the world. The role of agriculture and the food supply chain has never been more important. Rice is a real hero, feeding all economic levels of society, rich and poor. It is truly a year like none other. We have seen market developments, while largely due to the virus, but other factors as well, such as weather, like the incredible flooding that has gone on in your country. As we sat and watched those tremendous newscasts of flooding in China, it was difficult to watch, and we are concerned about the Chinese people as they deal with the impact of this flooding during this virus outbreak. Our prayers and thoughts are with the Chinese people as they deal with that situation. In order to understand the current U.S. rice market, I feel like we have to go back to 2019 just a little bit because it set the stage for the situation in 2020. In 2019, we planted approximately 2.54 million acres of rice. That's 500,000 acres less than the previous year. The reduction came in long grain acres, not in medium grain that has been relatively consistent in its acreage size. Weather conditions in the Mississippi Delta were not favorable in 2019. If you're familiar with the United States, the Mississippi Delta, largely Arkansas, the state of Mississippi, northern Louisiana, southeast of Missouri, is the most concentrated area of rice production in the United States. In 2019, they had way too much rain. And you know, if you're involved in rice, you know that too much rain and too much water during certain growth stage of the plant causes problems, causes quality problems, causes milling yield problems. So as the harvest gained strength in late August and the 2-3 following months, we began to see poor milling yields. This resulted in the need to mill a much greater volume of rough rice in order to get the whole grains that are needed for packaging, as all of us are aware. As a result, our stocks, much faster than normal, we went through them. A smaller crop with low milling yields equals supply shortage. So by January 2020, there was very little unsold rice in the hands of our farmers. Before the end of February, I will say 99% of the harvest had been sold to merchants who export paddy rice or to our milling industry. Then along came COVID-19, and the real panic began to set in those very first days of March. So began the hoarding of rice and beans and staple foods, and toilet paper and masks and etc. as the initial fears set in and people began to grasp what was about to happen. I know I was traveling. The last trip I went on was in late February, and I was in the Delta. And as the news broke, and a couple of colleagues and I monitored it as we were driving around visiting with farmers. It was hard to understand what was about to happen. I returned home to Texas to my home, and we were in the full panic mode. Supermarkets were crazy in the United States, at least in my neighborhood. A perfect storm was building up. The demand for rice increased. Costco, Walmart, Sam's Club, supermarkets tripled their orders. In Mexico, the most important market for long grain rice, the same thing happened. And throughout the Western Hemisphere, and of course the entire world market, as the virus spread, governments attempted to handle the crisis, and a war with an invisible enemy was on for everyone. Before long, because of these conditions, the United States had priced itself out of the market due to a lowering of our stocks. Before the end of April, the U.S. was basically sold out of paddy rice, at least at a reasonable price for our traditional customers in Mexico and Central America, who rely on paddy imports for their milling industry because those countries are not self-sufficient in rice production. In case you're not aware, the United States exports approximately 50% of our production. Of that 50%, some 44% is in the form of paddy rice. So rice exports, paddy bases, are a key aspect of the U.S. industry. In all of my years in the rice market, this is the first time I have ever known the United States to literally run out of paddy rice at any time during the entire calendar year. And of course, mill prices were significantly higher. So our traditional customers in Mexico and Central America turned to South American suppliers, what we call Mercosur, Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, that are important producers of rice. Due to better prices and access to their markets, those buyers purchased, and I can understand, rice from those origins, both paddy and milled. Our farmers began planting rice in late February. We start in the south along the Gulf Coast of Texas and South Louisiana, and as the weather warms and the soil temperatures increase, we continue to move north planting. March, April, May. By June 1st, up in Missouri, the entire crop has been planted. This year we had a 24% increase in planted acres due to the higher price anticipated for rice. But in the Delta, equally important to farmers are the price of corn and soybeans. Having lower prices for those two commodities gave indication to farmers that rice is the best option for them. If you've ever been to the Delta region of the United States, it is a tremendous agriculture production area, one of the top in the world. And farmers had the option to plant a wide variety of crops: wheat, cotton, grain sorghum, soybeans, corn, rice. So they study the market, make those planting decisions well in advance. So this year, rice was a 24% increase over the previous year. Today, with the rice harvest just 25% completed at this time, we continue to have several unknown field factors as we await to hear about milling yields and field yields throughout the Delta. Our price indications today, while for long grain milled rice, a number 2, 4% broken, is roughly $570 a ton. FOB New Orleans vessel for loading If it's long grain, bagged, containerized at a Gulf port, it would be in the range of $610, give or take a dollar as an indication. Again, these are indications and they depend on the variety, the grain quality, the cooking quality, whatever the customer wants. And again, my colleagues later will talk about the medium grain market. So due to the large number of acres this year in long grain and a current lessening of the food panic, and the hoarding activities have subsided at this time, we do expect a softening of our prices as we move forward into the harvest. I expect one or two farmers in the field harvesting in southern Arkansas here any moment. The fields have been drained for the last 10 days. Probably one or two Arkansas farmers are cutting rice today, and so the harvest is moving north. By the middle of November, we expect to see a far different situation as the large portion of the harvest we will know the reality of it, and we will be very strong back into the export market. By the middle of November, we expect to see a different situation unless weather changes things. And we have all seen weather extremes very different, more frequent than ever before. So our virus and how it will affect these markets causes the situation to be more fragile. It's a more volatile situation, and we will go forward and see what this harvest entails for our farmers and for the export market and for our friends in China. Should we be able to have some business together? We hope so. Again, I want to thank you for this opportunity. And I hope that we see each other in the very near future. We can get together and talk about rice. And our thoughts and prayers are with you and your families during all of the issues going on in your country, especially with the flooding that I mentioned earlier. And stay safe, my friends, and we wish you the best for a healthy future. And so I am now going to turn this back over to Grace or Tommy Turner. And if there's anything we can do to help you, any questions that you may have, please do not hesitate to send us an email or give us a phone call. Grace is I think Grace is available 24 hours a day. So thank you and best wishes.
Thank you, Dwight, for your presentation. 感谢怀特会长给大家做的精彩演讲。下面我们将有请来自加州的斯图尔特先生为大家介绍中粒米市场。Next, we're going to have our guest Stuart from California to talk about medium rice market. Hi, Stuart. Can you please start your share screen?
Thank you, Grace. Yeah, give me 1 second here and I'll get it going. Can everybody see my screen?
Not yet.
Still no? Still no?
No. Do you want me to share it for you? Oh, there we go.
Okay, it's good
How's
now.
that?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak on the medium grain market. I'm waiting to see if that translating is going to work, and so far it looks like it might not be. Nope, there it is. Okay. Well, thank you for the opportunity. Today, I will review the Cal roast market here in California. As Tommy mentioned, that's most of what we grow in California is going to be Cal roast, medium grain rice. And so basically today or tonight on my time, I will cover the size of the crop we anticipate, the yields, and the quality as well. And then we'll move on to the 2019 market year kind of in review to explain the market volatility that we saw, the developments in other key markets, and of course, we have to address the COVID impact and the potential impact that that could have moving into 2020. Also, after we are finished with that review, we'll move on to the 2020 market outlook. We'll talk about some market fundamentals and some projections that we expect to see price-wise and demand-wise. And for those that don't know, my name again, as Grace mentioned, is Stuart Hoetger, and I co-manage a rice paddy cooperative here in California. And so basically farmers give us their rice to market and trade throughout the year. So we sell paddy to mills, we sell milled rice overseas as well as domestically. And so that is kind of where I'm basically coming from when I'm talking about the market. I'm talking more about what we see the market doing and kind of how we plan to respond to that. So basically, the first thing we'll start off by looking at is the crop that we planted back in April and May. As Tommy mentioned, that's typically when we plant our rice. So this is the first year in several years we got the crop planted before June, and that bodes, or that is very good for the California crop. It is known that the earlier the rice is planted, the better the yields are going to be, especially if we can get that rice planted before May 15th, most of which happened this year. So we are optimistic about that. Again, for the first time in several years, we were not planting much into June, and so we do anticipate much stronger yields than normal. On top of that, we have had strong prices for the last 2 or 3 years with Cal roast. As a result of that, growers that would normally leave out a field of production for 1 year for weed control or for whatever reason have been tempted to grow that rice, to plant that rice on hopes that the market will be strong for them. As a result of that, we do expect to see California planted area go up by 6% from last year. And if, in fact, I think that'll be higher than we've seen in the last couple of years. We'll talk more about that in a moment. The harvest is expected to start in middle of September, which is normal, although we will see a few fields being harvested as early as next week. And basically full speed, full harvest will happen in October, which it does every single year. In general, the entire California rice crop is categorized as a US #1 grade. That is one thing California is known for, a high quality, stable quality year after year. And a lot of that is courtesy of the growing conditions. In California, we have hot, dry weather, no clouds, no humidity, no rainstorms. Very rarely does that happen during our planting season, as well as we have very good varieties courtesy of the rice researchers in our area. We also are known for not having much staining or much odor. Again, our Cal roast variety is a temperate japonica variety, which is different than a tropical japonica, which is grown in the southern United States, as well as Vietnam, Thailand, etc. Australia and the United States are basically the two major temperate japonica exporters. And in recent years, Australia has become a non-factor due to their weather issues, their drought. So this past summer, we had really just 2 weeks ago, we had a couple days of extreme heat. It was in excess of 40 degrees Celsius, which is extremely hot for us this time of year. So there was some concern that there might be some blanking as a result of, or for the rice that was planted after May 15th. Like I mentioned, that amount was small, so we don't anticipate that being a very large problem for us. Here is a quick overview of the key markets that we sell to from California. You'll also note here that most of these, again, the destinations on this pie chart are Cal roast markets. However, Taiwan has recently, in just the past 5 years or so, become a southern medium grain market, almost exclusively now. So you can see here that South Korea, Japan primarily commands our market, followed by South Korea. And the Middle Eastern and North African region, this pie chart is based on a 5-year average to kind of give a better picture of our market demographic or breakdown. The Middle Eastern and North African market tends to be our most volatile market and is usually quite price sensitive. But you can see that they are still an important region for California. This here is a breakdown of our export by type. Again, that first line, which I know is not translated into Chinese, but that first line across there is rough rice or paddy rice. The next line is brown rice. And of course, that third is milled rice. So you can see most of what we export in California is milled rice. We do sell a lot of brown rice, most of which goes to Japan or South Korea, excuse me. And the paddy rice primarily goes to Turkey. You do have some rice that goes to Mexico. Most of that is going to be your Jupiter variety, your Southern United States medium grain, the tropical variety. The other rice that is exported is primarily temperate Japonica. Last year, just a quick highlight here, going into the next portion of this presentation, I wanted to cover the fact that South Korea was a huge factor why prices in 2019 went above $1,000 a ton FOB Oakland. $1,000 a ton FOB was what Cal Roast was selling for at some points in 2019 and 20. Quota, their 2020 quota, but they bought that rice and took delivery of that rice in 2019.
Can you repeat that, Stuart? You froze for a moment. Could you just repeat that slide?
Yes, the one that I'm on right now?
Yes, just from the beginning.
Nope, sounds good. So what I was pointing out was that that first line is rough rice, paddy rice. The second line on there is brown rice. And the third line is milled rice. And so that you can see most of what is exported is milled primarily to Japan and the Middle East, or I should say North Africa also. The brown rice primarily goes to South Korea, which you can see was up significantly year over year. So what we wanted to point out, well, and that data looks like that year is actually wrong, but there was much more rice sold last year to South Korea than normal. And the reason for that was because South Korea signed a new trade deal with the United States, guaranteeing a certain quota of business to the United States. And last year, they actually booked a portion of their 2020 quota with 2019 rice. And so as a result, that sort of pressured the market and pushed it up. Right at the time that was happening, Turkey came in and bought a boat of rice, 30,000 tons plus or minus, for the first time in several years. And as if that wasn't enough, just like Dwight mentioned, the COVID shutdown happened right in that same exact window, ultimately creating a total run on rice. Every grocery store was empty for weeks, just like Dwight mentioned. And so those three components drove our market to near record highs, $1,000 a ton. And ultimately, I think that was one of the inhibiting factors into doing more business possibly in China. So moving on, before I move on, the Middle Eastern North African market, which is that last comment, says MENA, Middle East, North Africa. That market is our volatile one. Again, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, they're all tender-based markets, so there's pretty predictable demand. The Middle East and North Africa, that is much more demand-driven and price-sensitive. And so when we can capture that market, that would be a factor that would push our Cal Roast market to higher levels. And if we lose that market, we see our prices drop quite a bit. Another thing I wanted to point out is that the bulk of our tenders happen between basically October and February. And so right now, there is not a lot of price discovery. Mills are slow to quote new customers because we don't truly know the value of our rice yet. And that's because we haven't had any big tenders yet. Those actually start next month. And I think at that point, you'll see mills become more proactive in developing business. So the CalRose overview, I wanted to put together some data just to kind of break out the 5-year average numbers for us to review. Ending stocks typically are about 407,000 tons each year. That's going into new crop. And then CalRose average paddy price is about $415 per ton FOB warehouse. Again, in California, most growers don't store their rice on their farm. They truck it to a commercial facility and store it there. That actually, in our mind, is a good thing. That ensures higher quality, more regulation, and I think that kind of guarantees and ensures some stability in quality, grade, and all of that. So we've found that to be a successful part of our industry here in California. And so that price right there is FOB warehouse, $415 US. The CalRose average yield for the past 5 years is about 9.8 tons per hectare. One thing I wanted to point out here is that where we live, where we have the bulk of our rice, we actually average upwards of 11 tons per hectare. Now, I know if you're farming and transplanting rice, that's not that impressive, but again, we are cultivating strictly in a commercial way. As Tommy mentioned, we're flying over our seed and we're using large tractors to till and disc the ground, break up the ground, and then we're using big combines to cut the rice and bring it into the bins. And I can tell I missed one point there I wanted to make note of. The average, again, carry-out stocks is 407,000 tons. This year, we do anticipate being down 42. And this year, for the 5-year average is 200,000 hectares. We're going to be right around that again this year, maybe slightly lower. And as far as market makeup, as far as how demand is derived for CalRose rice, about 50% of what we grow and sell goes to the domestic market, and about 50% goes to the export market. The domestic market has been much slower. You know, unlike some of our markets in Asia, where even if you're not dining out, you are preparing rice at your home. The United States isn't like that as much. If consumers are not buying sushi or other dishes at a restaurant, they aren't usually preparing much of it in their household. So as a result, we have seen a slowdown in domestic demand as a result of the COVID shutdowns, and we are not quite sure how long that will prevail, how long that will last, and so only time will tell. As far as the export market goes, again, we do export about 1 million tons of rice a year. That's just because that's what the markets demand. Of that 1 million tons, about 50% of that goes to Japan. So that means Japan accounts for, by itself, 25% of our total market. Very important to the CalRose market. Here, I just wanted to provide a quick chart on to production. I want the viewers here to recognize how volatile production can be. And that's largely the result of water. China that's no mystery in China. I think China, India, every country such as those fully understand the demand and the restraints and constraints that come with water. In California, we don't use groundwater that much. We do use wells, but we don't pump that much out of wells due to environmental regulation. We rely heavily on reservoirs. What we say in California is that our largest reservoir is the snowpack, the snow that comes into the mountains above us. That snow melts and then fills our reservoirs. We then use those reservoirs to bring water to all of our fields. So if we get a weak snowpack, we get a bad melt, our reservoirs become low. And now what ends up happening in a situation like that, the farmers end up selling water essentially to other parts of the state that might have greater demand and can afford to pay for it. And that is one of the reasons why you can see the production or the area, the planted area volatility. The other reason why you kind of see a downtrend in that chart is because almonds and walnuts have begun intruding on rice ground, especially on the western part of our rice valley. That's because it's a higher returning product, and it's been a product that has had growing demand. I do believe that we have now reached a pretty stable point of what we can produce. I think where we're at today is going to be a pretty steady level for the foreseeable future. And you can see that's right around 200,000 hectares. The new crop spot price moving into the new year, again, we will plan on harvesting in September and October, which will not be available until October 1st at the earliest due to the time it takes to deliver the rice to the storage facilities, to dry it down, and then begin shipping it. So moving into that season, what I wanted to cover in the next chart is the prices. These are paddy prices, FOB farm. You can see that this year we did start out higher than last year, but what I don't include here is the volume. We have seen less rice bought in the spot market this year than we had last year, which might be an indicator of export demand. So right now, mills are not buying paddy, and they're not really selling much overseas as well. That's going to tick up or pick up when we start doing the Japanese and Korean tenders next month. So for now, we're moving into harvest with a pretty stable market. The overall undertone is optimistic. But what we want to kind of capture here is the weak demand, the moderate demand, and the strong demand. You can see here I outlined if demand is weaker than last year, we do expect prices to be lower. Again, I mentioned that the export prices reached upwards of over $1,000 a ton last year. They were also as low as, I believe, $780 a ton last year. So there was a wide range in export prices last year. If we have weaker demand, I could easily see export prices falling to $785 of what I think prices are. Again, it's a difficult number to provide only because we haven't seen any export activity for new crop. I would say that the moderate demand level, or today's current export price for new crop, if we had to provide an estimate, it would be around $850 a ton. It could be higher and it could be a little bit lower, but I think it's probably in that vicinity based on the last spot market paddy prices we've seen. And again, these prices that we're talking about are US #1 maximum 4% brokens with all the inspections that you need, your fumigation, your phytosanitary, certificate of origin, etc. Fully packed, containerized, delivered to the Port of Oakland. In a strong demand scenario, I do not think we will see what we saw last year. I think that was sort of an unprecedented market. I do anticipate, or could anticipate, prices going to as high as $920 a ton. We're not there. It would take a lot for us to get there. And right now, again, the things we're battling against are weaker domestic demand, potentially less demand to South Korea since they already bought part of this year's quota last year. And of course, there's just so many other unknowns. But in summary, let's go recap this one more time, and then we will wrap up the meeting here. The 2020 market began with higher prices. That much we do know so far. Since then, the market has gone dead quiet, and we don't know where it will resurface. We do know that it would take, what was that price here? Probably $490 a ton at paddy to pick up any significant quantity. Nobody has bought any rice in several months, and so we don't necessarily know where that market will resurface, but that was where it ended several months ago. Stocks are down year over year, and they are at probably one of their lowest levels in history. So we even though stocks aren't as bad as they were 2 years ago, we are not going in with many supplies. However, we have more production. We are anticipating a 6% rise in planted area, and will probably be more than 6% rise in production because we are going to have higher yields this year. Overall, total beginning supplies we project will reach a 5-year high this year. So unless demand returns from the domestic market, or unless we get more, the export market remains strong, we could see a correction in the California Cal roast market. We've had 3 years of what most would consider strong prices. And I think one interesting component is that because acres have gotten smaller and smaller, I think that it's kind of helped make Cal roast a more special variety Again, we have the highest regulation out of any state in the country, and I'd say the United States has some of the highest regulation out of any country in the world. So because of that, we are producing a high quality and safe rice. And I think that brand has been kind of developed and has become better known. So as a result, even though our prices have been very high, we have seemed to being able to find a market for that product. Turkey, according to different sources, we do expect to see them buy another boat this year. If that happened, that would be 2 years in a row, coming off of a 3 to 4 year hiatus. And so that would be another positive thing for the market. But if that does not happen, well, that would be a significant amount of demand that we would lose on a year where we have a larger crop. A weakening US dollar, that's something that most exporters are talking about regularly. And with the US policy to help combat the economic distress caused by COVID, that will most likely continue going into the months ahead. That is, we'll probably see a weakening dollar, making US rice generally more attractive origin. The domestic market is weak due to COVID shutdowns, like we mentioned. Hopefully that will improve in the months ahead. And to summarize, we would say this is a neutral market moving into harvest. We don't see it bumping up a lot or going down a whole lot. But really, the next month will be a very telling time in our industry. When we start seeing those Japanese and Korean tenders bid and sold, we will have a much better indication as to where we'll be going in the months ahead. So with that, I'll conclude my session, and thank you again for having me. Hopefully the translation was effective. And if not, please feel free to email me. We can use Google Translate, or we can have Grace help us because she's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stuart, for your presentation.
All right, I'm handing it back to you guys.
Yes, sir.目前我们还没有收到任何。感谢斯图尔特先生的精彩演讲。目前我们还没有收到任何问题，所以我有时间想做一个调查，让大家正好休息1-2分钟。The poll, can you play the poll? Can you play the poll? Can you play the poll already? 我们想知道决定您购买大米时最重要的是什么？您可以多选。欢迎大家踊跃的回答问题。我们再给1分钟，让大家回答问题。我们还在陆续收到更多的答案，欢迎大家踊跃回答问题。我看一下我们的答案，决定大家购买大米时最重要的是什么？价格排第1位，同时排第1位的还有品质。So quality and price is the most factors that will decide. People will make decision when they purchase rice. That's good answer. 谢谢大家的踊跃回答。我们再看一下现在有没有问题进来。 这里显示的是我的联系方式，还有协会的联系方式啊。大家可以今后有什么问题发邮件或者打电话，还有微信、QQ，任何方式可以联系到我们。Okay, we just received a question. I'm gonna read this question to all the speakers. Hi, I want to ask about the quota, rice quota. Does that apply to paddy rice or milled rice? He said, according to the customs, it said paddy. I can answer this question actually. Okay. 感谢您的提问。您问，关于配额是规定是稻谷还是大米？是大米，必须是粘米。中国只允许进口美国的成米。我们还有其他问题吗？如果没有的话，我们即将结束今天的研讨会。Thank you for all the speakers and everyone to join us for our seminar today, especially our technical support, Veronica Gawang. We'll give her 谢谢大家，尤其是我们今天的技术支持 Veronica 女士，谢谢她的技术支持。希望以后和大家再次见面。再见。